Hello, everybody. This is, I'm not sure which video this is, but this is the text work tutorial for you for Build a Bard workshop. I'm Hannah Kubiak. I am Voices Found's hospitality and education coordinator. And with me is one of our co-artistic directors, Andy Montano, who's also one of the founders of Voices Found. And we're going to be talking to you a little bit about one of our favorite subjects, analyzing Shakespeare's text. Let's get into that. So, some of you might not know that the reason that Andy and I are doing this text workshop is because, well, first of all, we are kind of the text people in our group. Like
Love it.
We're enthusiasts. We've developed some workshops to do in schools and stuff. It's just, I love just digging my teeth into some text. I love it. But not only that, but we also were both in VFR's production of Hamlet. I was Ophelia and Andy was Claudius, King Claudius. Yeah. Okay, so I think what we'll do here is maybe I will read the What a Noble Mind monologue, and then we'll go into a couple of things that we look for in a monologue to sort of help us figure out what we're trying to do with this monologue and what's important, what words need to be emphasized, stuff like that. All right. Oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. The courtiers, scholars, soldiers, eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mold of form, the observed of all observers, quite down. And I of ladies most deject and wretched, that sucked the honey of his music vows, now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled, out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen, see what I see. So the first thing that I like to do when I'm analyzing a monologue or a scene of Shakespeare's text is I like to look for the verbs, because verbs are easy to find. You know what a verb is. A verb is just an action word of somebody doing something. So in Ophelia's monologue here, the first line, oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. O'erthrown is a verb. And it goes on for a while without any verbs, I think. The courtiers, scholars, soldiers, eye, tongue, sword. She's listing off all of these things. And it's not until 6 lines later on that sucked the honey of his music vows. So sucked the honey. Now see is a verb. See that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled. Jangled is another verb. Out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted. I love that verb, blasted. With ecstasy. Oh, woe is a verb. Is me, to have seen what I have seen, see what I see. So seen, see are all verbs. So something that can kind of help you figure out maybe what this monologue is doing is just read the verbs. So overthrown, sucked, see, jangled, blasted, is, seen, see. So something I notice is that the word see or seen, variations of it, are in this short monologue 5 times. So I think this is about looking at something, perhaps. And definitely there are a lot of seeable things in this monologue. Courtier, scholar, soldier, lots of visual images. Rose, the glass of fashion, mold of form. So the paragon of what things look like, what things should be. Hamlet is called the observed of all observers. So there's that repetition there. When words are repeated, that's another thing you can look for. When words are repeated, that's significant. So I've marked down a couple of things that are repeated a bit. So observed and observers, I consider to be a repetition of two words. Noble is repeated. Noble, a noble mind, that noble and most sovereign reason. And then form is also repeated. The mold of form, that unmatched form and feature. The next thing that we can kind of look for is the opposites, things that are contrasted in the in the text. So I think one of those things is the noble form or the noble mind overthrown. So we've got something that's up high here, the observed of all observers, expectation and rose of the fair state, just like all this great, grand, awesome stuff. He's got his whole life ahead of him, but then it's overthrown. It's down here. It's quite down. Oh, quite is repeated as well. Quite down. Like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh, blasted with ecstasy. You've got kind of this image of something just crumbling or exploding or falling. Repeated sounds as well. I haven't really found those as helpful, but I did notice that in this monologue, there's a lot of O sounds, even just in a single line. There's, I'll just emphasize the O's here in this line. The courtiers, scholars, soldiers, eye, tongue, sword. She says, "Oh," it's her first line, and "Oh, woe is me."
I know we'll go over this after I look at my monologue too, but there's a lot of punctuation. There's a lot of punctuation in this. So there's a lot, and with the amounts that I'm seeing in this, just in the first, let's see here. In the first two sentences, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 commas.
Yeah.
There's 6 commas in just like the first 2 sentences of this monologue. So
yeah, what does that denote? Like, what's being communicated with that?
Well,
typically?
it's and like I said, I'll cover this after I go through my monologue, but commas are shaping of thought. Looking at that while you're doing the monologue, or we as directors like to try and look at that during a monologue, where we make like, all right, what is this moment? How does it change? How does it change because there's a pause here? And having 6 in the first 2 sentences implies like a franticness.
Yeah.
And it's not like, it's like you're watching the castle that is Hamlet fall into the sea. And so she's trying to make sense of what she's seeing.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. I think I'll just read it again, keeping all that stuff in mind.
Go for it.
Yeah. Oh, this is nerve-wracking. It's just you. Yeah.
I know.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mold of form, the observed of all observers, quite down, and I of ladies most deject and wretched, that sucked the honey of his music vows, now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen, see what I see.
Mhm.
Okay.
So there's so much room to play in a lot of Shakespearean
Mm,
monologues and soliloquies, and of course that's credit to Mr. Shakespeare himself by
mhm.
how well crafted they are. But as you can
Yeah.
see, when Hannah was going through that, at least myself as the observer, you could see the fluctuation, you could see the rapidity of
Mhm.
it, and she didn't do it all. Oh, where was me? Like, you don't
Yeah,
have to
no.
do that. You don't have to do that,
Let's look at Claudius. My
right?
offense is rank.
This was such a fun one. The first thing that I do when I receive a piece, or when I am planning on using something as a monologue to audition with, I try and read the before and after. Like, what happened? Why is Claudius saying the things that he's saying?
Mhm.
What's going on here? So he has just gotten word uh, that Hamlet is gonna expose him.
Mm,
Hamlet knows. Hamlet's gonna Hamlet's gonna do everything that he can to highlight the fact that I was the one who killed Hamlet's father,
mhm.
and it's come to the point where it's like I need to get rid of him. I need to get rid of him. I'm sending Hamlet's best friends, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. I'm like, all right, get this guy in a boat, get him out, get him away from me. After
Mhm.
I try and be nice to him. I try and put on the facade, in view of everybody, just because the country's fine, everything's great. I didn't murder somebody just so I can get a kingdom. See, I'm nice to his son. It's not that anymore. This
Mhm.
this is this is the part of the play, at least from what I see, when gets real,
Yeah.
when it goes down in this particular act. This is the first time that we get to see him take off this mask that everyone sees as Claudius, and we get to see the anxiety, the dread of
Mhm.
what he has to grapple with on the inside. So I'm just going to read it, and then I'm going to talk about some things that are useful in this, and yeah, then we can go from there. Oh, my offense is rank. It smells to heaven. It hath the primal eldest curse upon't, a brother's murder. Pray I cannot, though my inclination be as sharp as will, my stronger guilt defeats my strong intent. What if this cursed hand were thicker than itself with brother's blood? Is there not rain enough in the sweet heavens to wash it white as snow? Oh, what form of prayer can serve my turn? Forgive me my foul murder. That cannot be, since I am still possessed of those effects for which I did the murder, my crown, my own ambition, my queen. May one be pardoned but retain the offense? Oh, wretched state! Oh, bosom black as death! Oh, limed soul that's struggling to be free art more engaged. Help, angels, make essay. Bow, stubborn knees, and heart with strings of steel be as soft as the sinews of a newborn babe. All may be well. There's a lot of really there's a lot of words that are a lot we'll find theater professors and English professors a lot of times, at least a lot of mine, have described these words as juicy words, words that you can really move around with when you're speaking them. Um, uh, for example, my second line, it hath the primal eldest curse upon't. Primal, what does primal mean? Does that mean you're like tearing apart an animal? Does that mean you're like carving something with like a stick?
Mm,
Like, what is that? You're like squishing around mud.
yeah.
So like the oldest, darkest, deepest
Mm,
curse, the
yep. The
most evil
OG
thing,
curse. Yeah.
the OG curse. And if we're talking in reference to biblical terms, yes, it is. It's
Mm,
the first sin. The first mortal sin between two
mhm.
men. When
The
Cain
first
kills
murder.
Abel, the
Mhm.
first murder, and he brings that up here, and that would resonate both with Claudius if he were an actual person and contemporaries of his time, and it would also resonate with the Elizabethan audience at this time. because they're able to see and know when we say primal eldest curse, we know we're talking about a brother's murder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a brother myself. I have a twin brother. And so when I do this speech, I'm like, I picture my brother. Shout outs to Phil, and I'm like, so what would a person have to think about and do? Like, what would get them to cause that? And Claudius himself analyzes his thought process in the speech.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to figure out why he did the thing he did in the speech. So that allows you, as the actor, to go on your own journey, but use the words as your own words and use them as signposts on your journey to make it all the way down to the end. Because if you just say the words, just speak, to not, to quote Shakespeare again, speak the speech and let them go and do the thing that they need to do, they will carry you to where you need to go. So by the end of it, I don't know if you guys noticed it, my volume increased with the amount of exclamation marks in this speech, question marks. Claudius is questioning himself. For example, in this particular speech, and I probably should have counted this beforehand, but he asked 1, 2, 3, 4. He has 4 rhetorical questions. It's questions to himself and to the void, like why did I do this? Is there enough rain in the sweet heavens to wash this hand white as snow? What if this cursed hand were thicker itself with brother's blood? That's something that you can use and play with. My favorite part about this speech, Claudius says the word "oh" as in "oh my offense is rank, it smells to heaven," but "oh what form of prayer can serve my turn? Oh wretched state, oh bosom black as death, oh limed soul, as struggling to be free art more engaged." He says
those
"oh"
last
5 times
those
in this
last 3 are
speech.
one after the other.
Yeah. And so he struggles. So you can see this guy who's in control, has a plan, is doing all this stuff all the time, but you can really play with that struggle and how it amps up, especially with wretched state, bosom black as death, and limed soul. Because those are like boom, 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 one right after another. And you should look for those when you do your monologues, because really, really well crafted ones. And I'll speak to that in a second here about a crafted monologue, but really well crafted ones have those ladders that you can climb. There's also the alliteration of and the repetition that he has in here when he's trying to figure out what sort of prayer can serve his turn. It cannot be done since I'm still possessed of those effects for which I did the murder. My crown, mine own ambition, and my queen. May one be pardoned and retain the offense. So we can see like what is important. What is the most important thing to him? My crown, my own ambition, then my queen. So we can see that highlighted there as well. And you can use that. So if you're lucky enough to get that role, you can use that to help inform your other work in the rest of the play. And that's it for us. We hope you found all this information really, really informative and helpful. Once again, my name is Andy Montano. I'm one of the co-founders and co-artistic directors of Voices Found Repertory. And if you have any questions for us or have any other comments or insights, make sure you leave them down below. We'd be happy to look into them.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, everybody. Talking about one of our favorite pastimes, analyzing the text of Shakespeare. I know we're incredible nerds. Since there's 2 of us here, and this is technically a meeting, do you want to conclude the way we usually do?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So we conclude, of course, all of our things, be they board meetings or rehearsals, performances, with a little ritual that we've developed, and we'd like to invite you to join it with us because you stuck all the way to the end. So what it is we're on the count of 3, we're going to take a deep breath. So 1, 2, 3, deep breath, and then we're going to clap our hands together like this, and we're going to start rubbing them back and forth, get a little bit of friction going in there. And then on a count of 3, you're going to slap your legs if you're sitting down, but ideally it would be the floor, and say, "That's us." Okay. And because you do this with us, you're part of the family and part of the team. So, All right, on 3, that's us. 1, 2, 3.
That's us.
Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye.